is that men feel like Democrats and the sort of the society that is built up around this viewpoint is constantly looking over their shoulder. The sort of the professional fainting society, waiting to hear what thing offends them next, and is it coming out of your mouth, and what am I going to do to you when I hear it come out of your mouth? And the way men talk to each other, the way men interact with each other. I think in Trump they see somebody who is sort of immune from the cancellation society, or immune from the group of people who would try to police it. All Democratic Party's emphasis or de-emphasis on the need for strong family units, strong fathers, strong men to take care of families. I mean, there has been a rejection of that on the left in this country, and I think
it also could just
there's consequences to that. I do think we have a crisis of especially young men in this country, and they're in many ways disconnected from the rest of their families, disconnected from their communities, disconnected from our political culture, disconnected from our civil culture. And that's a real problem for a society that depends on all of us to be engaged and working together to make it as good of a country and as good of a society as it can be. I think the Democrats in this election made men feel like that the patriarchy is over, boys, and we're going to put you in the back seat for a while, and you're just going to have to accept it, without any thought to the ramifications of telling people who are out honestly trying to make a living, provide for their families, be good husbands, be good fathers. When you tell people who are doing their level best that either A, it's not good enough, or B, you're part of the problem, what do you expect? And then finally, as a political tactic, the attempt to put walls on the ticket, and that was going to somehow solve all of the problems that had been built up for years, was ridiculous, because it turns out Walz was the last person that men wanted to hear from. And I remember at the beginning of that whole campaign, when they put him on, I sat right here, and people were like, oh, they got camouflaged hats. They're going to be wearing them in the deer stands this fall. And I think, to your point that you just made, that was not that idea that was not formulated by a bunch of dudes who actually go deer hunting. It was come up with by a bunch of people who've never met a dude that actually goes deer hunting. But when you try to put that kind of window dressing on a real communications problem or a real relationship problem, it gets exposed immediately.
I thought I was done for today, but I recently came across a video with Scott Jennings talking about why young men are gravitated to MAGA, or American First Movement, and all this. And I've been talking about this for a while now. And the one thing that always frustrates me about this conversation is that if you saw everyone on the panel, Scott Jennings did a great job of articulating what exactly push young men away from the Democratic Party, and the way that the Democrats Party kind of talk down on men in a condescending manner. Barack Obama is a prime example of the kind of messaging that repulsed many men, especially me. I reacted very negatively towards how Barack Obama tried to paint, oh, you're lucky Michelle ain't here. Like this emasculating type of like talk, when I forgot his name again, but a Democratic strategist had warned the Democrats, hey, your messaging is too feminine. It's too catered to white liberal women. They didn't listen, right? And this is arrogance that the Democratic left. And even when Albie Phillips, she's in there, she came back. As Scott Jennings was talking, she said it could be so, but she's still trying to make justification and excuses for this stuff, right? And Colin White is someone I disagree with heavily, but on this kind of standpoint, I agree with him completely. Where are our bro whisperers? Some have argued for a rethink of media strategy. Notice how their proposed solution isn't rethinking of their repugnant core principles, but rather adopt a new media strategy, concealing those principles to deceive men into voting for them. And this is what young men such as myself are blatantly seeing what is wrong with Democrats. Colin Hughes says, Democrats have a remarkable ability to repel people from their own party with years of slander. Racist, misogynist, xenophobic, all this name calling, labeling. And this is exactly what Scott Jennings articulated in the panel. And then wonder why those same people aren't Democrats anymore. Rogan was a weed-loving, Christian-mocking Bernie bro, and how did the New York Times treat him? Trump wins leave Democrats asking, where are our bro whisperers? This is the Democratic Party for you. Right? And exactly as Scott Jennings stated, young men are tired of this culture of people waiting to be offended, this cry bullying, right? And before I go into the video, the full video, because I want to react to that segment, because I was very interested and very invested in that segment. Here's a clip of a lady highlights someone named Marcuse. I think I've mispronounced his name. You guys know I'm bad with names. Forgive me, right? Tarquil, and his prediction about how tyranny will materialize in America, in modern America. And I think he's pretty spot on with his prediction. Let's take a look.
Did you know that already back in 1840, French philosopher Alexis de Tocqueville very accurately predicted and described in his book Democracy in America what type of tyranny a modern population like the American one had to be fearful of? Because as Tocqueville predicted, tyranny in a modern democratic society like America would look very different from the types of tyranny that European nations had faced up until then in aristocratic societies, for example. Let me quote, "It covers the service of society with a network of small, complicated rules, through which the most original minds and the most energetic characters cannot penetrate to rise above the crowd. The will of man is not shattered, but softened, bent, and guided. Men are seldom forced by it to act, but they are constantly restrained from acting. Such a power does not destroy, but it prevents existence. It does not tyrannize, but it compresses, enervates, extinguishes, and stupefies a people, till each nation is reduced to nothing better than a flock of timid and industrious animals, of which the government is the shepherd." Well, if that is not an accurate description of what actually ended up happening, not just to America, but to all modern democratic societies who have turned into absolute bureaucratic nightmares, then I don't know what is. Tocqueville was absolutely right, and that's why I'm so excited and happy to congratulate Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk on their appointments of the leader of the DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, because for the first time in American history, now actively there will be a government organization working against this type of tyranny that Tocqueville warned about.
And before everyone comes in here and say, "Oh, Kenny, Scott might be wrong," for those who want to say Scott is wrong, this is another example of the thousands showcasing the left's hatred towards men. And this is the reputation of the left. This lady here in TikTok is arguing that men should be put in prison and put through a re-education program to get rid of their misogyny. What is misogyny? If you ask a feminist, it's any men that express a view that disagrees or goes opposite towards the feminist logic of how the world is. This is exactly what misogyny actually means when they say misogyny, you're a misogynist. This is why young men are saying, yeah, I'm done with this party. This is why Democrats have a male problem. As a young man, right? I'm 28 years old. Even though I'm married, even though I have 2 kids, I'm still young. I still see what young, like my brothers who are years younger than me, who's Gen Z, their dating struggles, how they don't see anyone. Like, it's a whole lot of hoopla, right? And if you see the Gen Z divide, men are overwhelmingly going towards Republicans and women goes overwhelmingly to the left. But there's no conversation about why women are so attracted to Kamala Harris's message. There's no scrutiny when women are disproportionately going towards one direction, but all of a sudden there needs to be an analysis of why so much men gravitate to Donald Trump. It's the same phenomenon that happened with Andrew Tate. When Andrew Tate was running the internet circles, when Andrew Tate had all the attentions, why do men gravitate? Instead of seeking to understand, it's almost like they're trying to fit a conclusion. They're trying to prove a conclusion, a preconceived conclusion they already have of why men do the things that they do. But I digress. Let's get into the video.
I think men are better than they think they are. However, messaging has just gotten out of control from both sides. You take a look at the fact that across the board, didn't matter what race they are, males turned towards Donald Trump, turned away from the Democratic Party. And why? That's the real question that should be asked. Why? Because in so many ways, the party basically dismissed him, left him out of the conversation,
Exactly.
and not until the very end decided, oh, I better reach out and see if these guys are worth talking.
I'll give you an example with the black men. Remember, I forget when. It was a long time ago. I think it was when Stacey Adams was running for governor of Georgia. And they were doing all this work. Oh, they just expected, man, y'all better get in line. The black women, we on code. You better get in line. It was this like talking down to, and I'm like, who this ish talking to? I forgot her name. Tiffany something. She used to be on MSNBC and then she got kicked out. Joy Reid got real mad about her leaving. I forgot her name. But it's this talking down to like, oh, men can't vote for their own interests. Women out here running on abortion. Oh, we believe in abortion. Abortion, one of their top issues. And men right now are worried about World War III, where they can actually be sent out to die. And y'all sitting here lecturing us about why we voting for Trump? Are y'all stupid? Are you crazy? So women can vote against vote for their best interest. Oh, we want abortion. We want all this. This is why we're going to Kamala Harris. But they can't see the fact that they see Kamala Harris cozying up to Liz Cheney, who's known as a warmonger. And you don't come, the thought don't come to mind that maybe these young men don't want to go to war. Maybe these young men are tired about how we talk to them.
And if you just look at the fact that we have nobody, I think, in this country right now, the majority of people, believe in an equal playing field where everybody gets to participate and play. But when you start shoving certain things down people's throats that they don't want to have to eat, you're going to have to deal with the consequences of forcing somebody to do something that they didn't want to do.
Well, there's the messaging toward men that Trump was doing, and then there was the messaging toward women that the Harris-Biden campaign were doing. I mean, I remember sitting at the Democratic convention and looking after 3 or 4 days and saying, not a whole lot of men on this program. And that's intentional because they thought this was going to be an abortion election.
And the fact that they went all in on this woman, oh yeah, abortion is going to really drive up. No, married women had more issues to worry about than just abortion. That's a single women issue. And even the single women, when I look back, single women, it was damn near split. So I was surprised. I was like, oh, I thought 66% of single women was just going to go vote for Harris just like that because of abortion. But no, women realize, I think this will happen. Many women realize, oh, I could vote to protect abortion in my state. Doesn't necessarily mean I have to push it on everyone else in the federal level. Oh, okay, that makes sense. I'm voting for Trump. That's exactly what happened in many cases.
Is that a misstep?
I think that abortion being the top issue was obviously a misstep because we saw that it didn't actually bring out the women that they expected either. But
And the funny part is they didn't appeal to men whatsoever. They're like, for black men, they appeal to black men with weed and all this stuff. No, black men, most men have the same issues all men have. War, we all gonna go to war. It don't matter your skin color. That's all our problems. That's a men problem. Men are more concerned with war than they are with your ability to kill your kid. That is the reality. The economy affects all men. Immigration, mass immigration hurts all of us. It makes it more expensive to live. It's harder for us to buy houses because there's a lot of demand for the houses because there's a lot of people in the houses fighting for jobs. That affects men. You don't cross it about the board. They don't want to talk, like they want to sit here and talk about messaging like men are not emotional. I'm sorry. Women, y'all going to be offended, but I'm sorry. A lot of men are not emotional like that. Okay? We care about the issues. Hey, look at this issue here. This issue affects me. I don't give a damn how you message to me. You pushing a policy that does not help me at all. How are you going to do this? Are you going to mass deport these people? No. These people are taking jobs opportunities away from me as a black man. You crazy more, making it harder for me to do my day-to-day life with all your policies. We're going in the wrong direction. You want me to reward the party that put me in this situation? And you want me to vote for that? No logical person can justify that.
But I would argue that from the onset, the polling showed that there were stark divisions between what men valued and what women valued, which isn't actually surprising across this country. But the economy was something that everybody valued. The way it was messaged, I think, was problematic. But in addition to that, looking at the psychological aspect of things, men have felt left out for quite some time, be it whether it was social groups, be it whether it was leading to depressive states or other things. They've been very vocal about that. That existed long before the pandemic. I do think that there needed to be stronger outreach to men and men of all backgrounds. But in addition to that, there needed to be more men at the helm of the decision-making process on the campaign. A campaign that is run by a lot of women is probably not going to be the same campaign that can speak to men. I'm glad that we have this
to be fair,
circle here
both
because
Trump
it matters.
and Harris's campaign were run by a mixture of men and women. I'm not sure. I think it's just about a theory of the case.
But no,
right?
a lot of the messaging strategies that were developed to men were developed to men by white women. And I think that is a problem.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think that with
White
the appeal
liberal
with
women.
Trump, I think many of his supporters are kind of attracted to that brash, unapologetic, that tough guy kind of persona that Trump has always kind of had. And I always think back to, the mid 90s and late 90s when I was in college and high school, where you saw a ton of rappers that were name dropping Donald Trump in all these songs. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that because all of them looked at Donald Trump as this unapologetic, brash guy that really pushed his success, his power plays, the art of the deal, all this stuff kind of made it what men look at as, okay, this is what I want. And
It's not only just Trump, but Trump represents something that's been it's nature, right? And this is the funny part about feminists, and this is the theory of the case that I think Abby Phillips was trying to get to. Democrats have this theory of the case that the way that men are acting in society is because of social engineering. And Republicans had a case that, no, this is men's nature. You can't re-educate a man from not being a man. You can't re-educate a man because of misogyny, because you believe that certain traits that he's displaying is problematic to your world agenda. And this is the problem with feminists, is that they don't want to understand that there's certain things that's innate, that's not been socialized. You could do it in young kids. When you give a young kid certain toys, they have natural preferences towards certain toys. Men are interested in things, women are interested in people.
Men of all backgrounds. And I think that, you fast forward to what happened in this election and the dynamics of the populace of people that voted for Trump, men, women, Hispanic, white women, men in general, black men. It really showed that this election kind of teetered towards that, the catering towards men. And so it's just a thing where, you look at it and Trump has made a name off himself from doing this. And I think that was a big part of why he won the election.
Scott, but I'll let you jump in a second, but I think you might find this interesting. Scott Galloway, who has a podcast, many podcasts, but he's working on a book about what's going on with men in the country. He writes this: young American men are in a crisis of underemployment, under-socialization. Soaring college costs affect people regardless of their gender, but manufacturing jobs, once a ticket to the middle class for men without college degrees, have been offshored. Housing is increasingly unaffordable. Men are stuck.
And for men without a college degree, when he's talking about manufacturing jobs, Detroit, a lot of people got laid off in Detroit, and a lot of them were complaining, oh, we know you're going to replace us with illegals. This is why men voted for Trump. Your candidate didn't offer any solutions for that concern. Oh, we're just going to process them better. Yeah, but that's still added competition for me. Like, how does this help me? You make my communities less safe because a lot of these illegals, they were unvetted, and they allowed a lot of criminal illegals to cross over the border unvetted, and it causing a lot of problems in people in these cities. This is the practicality. They want to speak about the messaging, but they don't want to speak about the core problems with the very movement that the Democrats, there's no kind of messaging. And this is what we're talking about. Young men, when they vote Democrat, a lot of young men who voted Democrat, I believe they've been deceived to vote Democrat. They've been tricked to vote Democrat. As I started off with the intro of this video, that these people are trying to rebrand their strategies. They're using new media strategies to try to deceive men into voting for them when nothing that they're proposing actually helps men. I digress.
They are isolated, despairing, and unproductive, prone to obesity, drug addiction, and suicide, susceptible to misogyny, conspiracy theories, and radicalization. They make inadequate mates, employees, and citizens. It's a pretty dire picture that he paints there, and it seems what he's saying is that Trump spoke to that.
Well, I agree. First of all, I agree with most of everything that's been said here already. I agree with some of this assessment. I do think we have a crisis of especially young men in this country, and they're in many ways disconnected from the rest of their families, disconnected from their communities, disconnected from our political culture, disconnected from our civil culture. And that's a real problem for a society that depends on all of us to be engaged and working together to make it as good of a country and as good of a society as it can be. I think.
And also, like, it goes back to the feminist thing too, as well, is that feminists feel threatened by this, right? When you say, oh, let's do affirmative action for men, because if you look at stats, men are not graduating college at the same rate as women. But you think feminists are going to let you guys do that? Hell no. So this idea that feminists believe in equality is not really the case. That's my synopsis. I don't think that's the case. I think the feminist movement is based on about only empowering women, only empowering women. And anything that threatens that, they will be against it. Men are falling behind. He just mentioned all the stats, all these negative things. Is there any men for tech? No. They still catering to women. Men are not graduating women are now the majority of people who graduate from medical school. Do you think they putting any affirmative action type of thing? No, because they never believed in equality. Equality was their foot in the door. What they really want was power, leverage, and privilege for women. And that's why many people, many men, if you ask a man, are very against affirmative action. Because we just ask, hey, just give us an equal playing field, and that's all we're asking for.
I did a fun little experiment. I knew we were going to be talking about this tonight. So I have a text chain that's been going on with my friends from college and law school for about 15, 16 years. It's all guys. Some are married, some are not. Some have kids, some do not. Some are former Democrats, They are all MAGA now. So I sent them a text and I said, I'm coming on the show. We're going to discuss this issue of masculinity and MAGA. Can you give me some PG thoughts? I'm going on a family show here tonight.
You may not be familiar with what
give
we
us-
do here.
yeah,
They
give us the
will go to
real version of the
PG-13 if you
PG
want.
Well, we're definitely not going to be reading the text. I will put it to I heard a few certain things. MAGA is fun. MAGA is fun. I heard it time and again from each one. Yeah, MAGA is fun. One of them said, MAGA equals football and beer. The left equals HR and tofu. That was one of the nicer ones. Trump speaks to me. He speaks like a normal person. He's not a robotic politician. We can have a debate over what he says, but he speaks to them as a normal person. But the one thing that came across from all of them was, I'm sick of being told what to do. I'm sick of the media telling me what to do. I'm sick of the woke left telling me what to do. I'm sick of government telling me what to do.
Yes. It spoke exactly to me. Tired of the lecturing, right? Tired of being called a misogynist because I disagree with you. That just because I don't believe a man should be a doormat to all his wife's whims, right? I'm not a misogynist if I want boundaries. Hey, I don't want my wife dressed in a certain way. Hey, I don't want my wife to reveal herself online. Somehow that's controlling. That's all this shaming tactics. Stop trying to shame me. Imagine we shame a woman. Oh, you're insecure because you want your husband to be monogamous to you. Oh, you scared he's gonna leave you? Then you're probably not putting it down enough. Like, make it make sense, right? No one demonizes women for their preferences, for their boundaries, for where they draw lines. But for some reason, when men do the exact same action, somehow that's threatening. That's negative, right? Play a game, right? I play this game all the time, and then I'll end it off here. Women like these things that they like to tell themselves, like, if a man ain't doing this, then he ain't worth it, right? And all I do is, if you gender swap all the statements women say to themselves and you put it online, women will call you a misogynist. Okay, so women who are saying these things, aren't they misandrous? And that never gets called out. And I'm glad they're having this conversation. But I think it's falling on deaf ears. I think the Democrats ain't going to listen. I mean, they still think that I don't know. Democrats don't care about win or lose, victory or defeat. All they care about is pushing their message, pushing their worldview onto everyone else. And I think this is why they'll continue losing with young men, at least for the foreseeable future. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you believe that the panel accurately encapsulate the debate? Do you think something was missing in the debate? I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate you guys watching the end of the video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.